Hello everyone, it's me the Boss Hog. It's been a long time. I've been asked by literally countless people, by that I probably mean about 12, where I am, where's my next video, what's going on, to the point that I'm starting to become a meme, and so I thought it would be best to address this. I decided to title this video Finding My Omaha based on a book I read, obviously referencing Warren Buffett, and about how you can organize your life in a way that sort of minimizes mental strain and sort of allows you to function at your best, which is pretty much what I've been trying to do over the last sort of 6 months. Going to explain how and why and etc. And really, that's the intention of sort of the channel. Really, it was always meant to be like wealth and betterment, but we haven't really progressed until recently on the betterment, and that's kind of where I've been working on. Anyway, I'm going to give you an update on my life, what's happening, as well as a very brief update on the wealth building aspect before we work out what we're going to be doing next. Let's do it. Alright, so good to see everyone. So, in terms of updates and family and home life, this is going pretty well. The big call out here is that I somewhat recently, though technically in the end of August, had my 10-year anniversary with my wife, who I've been with for 14 years now, so basically from our early 20s to today. Honestly, we've sort of reassessed, I guess, our outlook in terms of life and relationship. So we'd sort of both agreed that, the sort of from our mid 30s to maybe our early 50s was going to be a bit of a slog. We kind of mentally prepared ourselves for that. But, we were like several years into that process and it was just feeling quite relentless. Like it doesn't get much better, and life can be quite intense. And to be honest with you, since our daughter came along, like she's been our main focus. We haven't necessarily always made time for each other, so it just felt like in some ways we were, I don't want to call it going through the motions, that feels too negative, but basically, like clear that we were committed to this and each other and everything else, so it wasn't like dangerous from that perspective, but very much that we weren't really thinking strategically or well, and kind of just trying to get by sort of day to day. So we made some improvements, we did some plans, etc. And now it feels like we're probably in the best place we've ever been in, really. Certainly for many years, being 5, but probably forever. We really kind of feel like we got on top of things, that we put in place everything we needed to, and just both of us are feeling very positive at the moment in terms of direction in a way we haven't felt like for a long time. And even though we still have the exact same milestones and targets in our life, it now just feels much easier, much less intense, and though we have made room for ourselves to breathe a little bit and again plan and really think. So that's been really enjoyable as a process. My daughter also turned 5 in January. I even planned her birthday, which is something I recommend everyone does once, but then only once, because a big birthday with 30 kids and another 60 adults is quite stressful, is quite expensive. It was a 4-figure birthday. You'd be surprised at how quickly things can add up on these things. But yeah, she's definitely a child now rather than a baby or a toddler. She has her own thoughts and opinions, most of which are reasonably agreeable, but definitely likes to push boundaries and explore and everything else. So we're kind of working with her at the moment to see what she's passionate about and trying to be as good a parents as you can be. And it's not always easy, but most of the time it's fun. So that's also quite rewarding. She's going to be starting year 1 in September, so she's also excited about that as well. But genuinely, it's really rewarding to see your child develop reasonably well, at least, hopefully in a good way, and becoming a good person. The other important life update, I think, is that we remortgaged our home. So we actually did it on a 3-year fixed for 15 years. So the expectation here is that we'll relatively quickly burn through our mortgage outstanding. The reason for this is because, frankly, we were able to. Like, we have a relatively modest home, which we've had for 9 years, even though our lifestyle has changed quite substantially in the 9 years, especially in terms of our income. So, before this remortgage, we were paying something like 17% of our income on mortgage, which is pretty low. After this, it's more like 25%, so still quite manageable. But the main purpose of doing this is to build up basically an equity deposit for our next house purchase, which we plan on making our forever home. It's probably going to be about £1 million, so we need to make sure that we have a pretty decent deposit for that. So currently our equity is about 140,000, something like that, and our remortgage is 360. So yeah, that's the situation there. And yeah, we're moving forward with that, and pretty soon, probably within the next year or so, we'll start sort of early stage inquiries with estate agents and things like that about where we actually want to live. But I've got a reasonably good idea, and Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing most of the legwork here, but we've sort of already looked at some houses previously, just to sort of get an idea of what is important to us and what we want to be looking for in our next property. So that's also quite exciting. Health and betterment. So this is sort of the aspect of my channel, I guess, that never really got going. Like, this channel started 4.5 years ago. It was inspired, 9 months, 8 months after my daughter was born. My wife was sort of getting over the postnatal. My daughter and wife were in Poland with my in-laws, and I had a bit of time and perspective where I started to think about the future. Children will do that to you. And in a way, I think that's been incredibly successful. Like, we've religiously almost pension matched, maxed out our ISAs. We're running ahead slightly in terms of our financial contributions at the moment to targets for retirement. So this is all going great, but this is meant to be, wealth, health, and betterment. And if I'm honest, my health has certainly not improved over those 4 years and probably gotten worse. Similarly, as well, I think until we sort of maybe improve things with the family and home life, I wouldn't necessarily say betterment, which I mean sort of mental well-being, has improved either. It hasn't sort of materially deteriorated, but I wouldn't say it's improved in any way until quite recently. So from October, I very strictly started waking up at 5 o'clock, even sort of just having the initial hour or two a day to actually think and plan and process was quite revolutionary, really. It really gave me a new sense of perspective. And since then, so I've lost 8 kilograms. I'm down from 109 kilograms to 101. I'm going to the gym at least 3 times a week and trying to turn that into 4 at the moment, and they're pretty hard sessions as well. Like, I don't half-ass it in the gym. I also recently got a personal trainer. She is this. I mean, I was joking about it. I didn't realize at the time, but she's also Eastern European, like my wife. And I think I like her energy is quite fun. So which I sort of feed off in the gym. But my wife and I were joking that I must like being told what to do by Eastern European women, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, that's also been really helpful in terms of that. So now we're doing everything a lot more scientifically, kind of looking at my body composition and things like that. Honestly, I think I would have lost even more weight, but I've started to acquire muscle. I take just creatine just to sort of aid with recovery. That's the only sort of additional thing I'm taking, but I'm eating a ton of protein, cutting down substantially on carbs and things like that, and basically eating quite clean compared to what I used to. No sort of crisps or chocolate or anything like that. I do still do alcohol, but a lot cleaner compared to what I used to do. And my next aim is to sort of manage my portions a little bit better and just generally refine my diet a little bit more in terms of what works for me, etc. So that's the next plan there. I'm currently training for a Spartan race. I actually joined this in like November, I think I applied to join. It was sort of very early in my fitness journey, but I thought it would give me a goal to aim for. I'm a little bit nervous, specifically about the running element of it, so we'll see how we go. I still feel quite heavy. My knees feel quite weak, especially. I'm still sort of working on that. My cardio actually feels quite solid. At one stage, I used to go to a military school, do morning training and things like that. At one stage, I was quite fit. So my cardio still feels quite respectable, and I do recover quite quickly, but I definitely feel it. And recently I was in Poland for the Easter holidays, and I was doing a ton of like hiking and cross-country running up quite steep hills, and my calves and ankles and feet and knees, and it's not a nice feeling when you start to feel old, which I guess maybe was part of how I was feeling, 6 to 9 months ago, which maybe gave me the initiative here to improve this. But that's so I'm a little bit nervous about that. Likewise as well, we're probably about a month behind of where I want to be, but I'm not expecting to really embarrass myself or not finish. So the aim here that I have for the Spartan race is to finish in the top half. So we'll see how it goes. May 17th is going to be fun, but we'll see. I'm also hiking in Zakopane, which is a mountain range in southern Poland. I haven't been, but my brother-in-law and his family go there quite often, and my wife's uncle sort of used to do tours and things like that as well. So I understand it's actually quite a gentle hike, and we're taking 2 5-year-old kids, one from us and one from brother-in-law. So it should be pretty good fun. But I'm looking forward to that as well, actually. I've also started doing Tai Chi, which honestly is something I never thought I'd say or do. I was just looking for a way to kind of improve my, I guess, like balance or flow or flexibility a little bit as well. Still need a lot of work on that. But I'm starting to really enjoy it. I found like 1 or 2 channels. I'm sort of really enjoying like the breathing aspects of it and the control. I'm still definitely like an amateur. Like I feel quite silly doing it. I only do it when my wife and daughter are asleep, just so they can't see how uncoordinated I am. I'm hoping to get better. Still very much a novice, but I'm really starting to enjoy it. It's sort of like 10 to 15 minutes. Trying to introduce it a bit more often and regularly at the moment. I don't have a routine on it just yet, but I'm hoping to acquire one and sort of improve things there. But I'm really enjoying that. That's been super helpful. Originally, I was doing that before the gym, but honestly, I found like it made me so relaxed that it was sort of deflating me for the gym. So now I'm sort of trying to do it, think whether I do it at night or whether I do it like after I come back from the gym or where exactly I do this. But regardless of how we fit it in, I'm kind of definitely enjoying that aspect of things. Also, as well, I'm due to leave my job at the end of April. If I'm honest, I haven't enjoyed my job for about 6 months. I had some finance team changes where a lot of the people who joined at the same time as me, who I really liked working with, sort of, we were at the stage of the business where the reasons for us joining were part of basically a finance shake-up. The reasons for us joining have also been resolved or near enough resolved where like the challenges are no longer there, everything is sort of stable. And so I was given an opportunity to leave on good terms. I have taken that opportunity and I'm basically working my notice at the moment until the end of April. I will be getting sort of some long-term stuff vested and a deferred bonus as well when that happens. So that will tide me over for many months, so I don't need to get a job. And I'm basically looking to take May to work out what I'm going to be doing. I from a work perspective, I want to do something around change, financial systems, processes, etc. I'm actually talking with a colleague at the moment I used to work with about doing a billing system or sort of an order to cash process system architectural user review that I'm going to be quite excited about. Would like to go on that journey, but nothing official yet. He has to run it past the CEO. He's currently a CFO, so that would be a nice thing to sort of segue into that kind of stuff. But I also want to think a little bit more fully about what it is I want to be doing in my future. Like I have finance, accounting, and financial services qualifications that I've never used. To be honest with you, I most want to go into like program management probably. But getting into that's a little bit tricky at the moment, and what do I need to actually do, and sort of having a really hard look about, do I need to retrain, do I need to do a course, do I need to improve my network, and etc. So which is probably true as well. So I'm going to sort of take May to, I guess, think. I can't really think of a better way to put it. Like since I was 15, I've basically never not worked, so it's a slightly weird feeling. And I've literally always finished on Friday and then started on Monday. And so this feels kind of like, I wasn't necessarily sure if I was going to take May off, but I was kind of taking it as sort of fatalistic, like if there's an opportunity that comes up, great, if not, then I'll take it. And it looks like it's going to be more of the latter. But I guess a week ago or so I was quite nervous about this, like not having a job, but actually the closer we get to it, the more excited I am about it. And like I say, we're not in any financial danger, at least enough money for 6 months. And my wife's income, whilst not quite covering our costs outside of investments, are very close to it. So the combination of that plus bonuses, hers as well as my sort of final payment that I'm going to be getting, are going to be putting us in a good situation for at least 6 months, and realistically more like 12. So I don't have to rush anything, and I kind of want to take a month to basically decide where my mind is at, what I want to be doing, etc. Plus also, like, my wife's crushing it at work. Like, she's currently meeting CEOs or CIOs typically of listed companies, and she's sort of got a very senior or an increasingly senior job in private equity where her earning potential is much higher than mine. So it's a case of like, right, is there something more constructive I could do as a sort of family unit, rather than sort of doing what I'm doing at the moment? I'm not sure. But that's that kind of more holistic thinking is something that I haven't really done and would benefit from doing. So there's still some stuff that I'm working through, I guess. But broadly speaking, I feel so much physically like stronger, better. I've got definition now. I ache a lot less. Even like little things, like I'm sweating less. I feel better. Like my skin has never been really a high point of me. It's not like I do anything special with it, but like I'm becoming like more comfortable with like what I'm wearing and things like that. Like it's been actually surprisingly effective, and I've not really been this light. I'm still quite heavy, to be honest. I'm like 6 foot and 101 kilograms, so definitely heavier than I should be. But just losing 8 kilograms is quite substantial, honestly. So I feel like I'm like healthier. I feel healthier. Like mentally, I feel better and sharper. And I'm sort of enjoying the improvement that I've done. So I still feel like this is only about 50% of the way through, maybe slightly further, and still some processing to do. But really happy with the direction of travel for something that I've never really been very good at. I'm quite an old school man as well. Like, I'm not naturally much for something like Tai Chi, or really like, getting in touch with myself and like writing lists or things like that. Right? It's not really me. I'm a bit of a dinosaur, a bit of an old school man when it comes to this. So it's definitely not something that comes naturally to me. I guess that's also why I've been working through it in the background. Like, just doing videos just seemed very formulaic. And I wasn't necessarily getting the ton of value out of it that I wanted to, although I would still like to do videos, but just, like actually do some different things. I'd also like to do something like, mentoring or helping people with CVs or interviewing, just kind of trying to give back a little bit. But again, that's all very much like undecided at the moment, and probably something to review in May. So more to follow on this for sure, though, where I will definitely have time during May. So that's that. I also just want to give an update on the financial situation, so let's do that also. All right, so in terms of wealth, it could be going better, but saying that, in 2024 we hit our financial goal. Our financial goal was 90 to 100, but 90 was really the target, with 100 being the stretch. But then we also had a beautiful 5-star holiday, and we also spent 4.5 grand on a bathroom repair. So those two things together were like 10 grand, and honestly, both of those things were absolutely fine. And yeah, so we added 91k ourselves last year, which was the important thing. Until quite recently, we'd actually been running ahead of our plans. So these two graphs here, and I've cut off my face at the bottom there, but it's basically our walk to £1 million in terms of net wealth, which is due to be hit in December 2027. And you can see here, like, if I'm honest, my opinion here is that I started too ambitiously, and to be honest, I think it should have actually taken a lot longer to catch up than it did. But the markets until very recently were very good. We had a couple of 20% years, and therefore we were running ahead. And I was sort of telling people, especially on Discord, where I'm still quite active, well, this is definitely flattered by the market. And then over the last couple of months, completely the opposite has happened. You can kind of see it there. So we're now running 3.5% behind the targets. But honestly, I'm very comfortable with this now. Like, I still feel really good about it. I still think my plans were too steep to start with, and I'm kind of surprised we're even where we are. I think, again, it's been very beneficial from that perspective. We continue to basically match the markets. I continue to run ahead of every one of my benchmarks except from the S&P. Actually, before the recent sort of issues over the last few months, I even had literally one day where I overtook the S&P 500 on the sort of rolling basis across 4 years. But then that was it. It was like literally an afternoon where I was like, ahead of the S&P, and since then I've seen quite a sharp fall. So we're still navigating that as well, but I'm incredibly exposed to tech, small cap, etc. So I did get absolutely hammered from that perspective. On the good side, I do have some exposure in the FTSE 100 and FTSE 250. The latter has still been pretty beaten up. But I remain quite confident, and actually I chucked a full, I think it was like 56,000 in the end, into both my ISAs, so 40k obviously into my ISAs for the current tax year, so I've already completed the ISAs, and then another 14k it was, so 54k in total, into general investment accounts as well. So really committed, very much trusting the process at the moment. It's a little bit scary buying into that. But again, I sort of am trusting the process. I'm still 2 decades away from retiring practically, so feeling good about that. And to be honest, especially if you zoom out, like the graph here in the bottom left, which I appreciate is a bit condensed, but like when you look at where we were in March 2023, and then March 24, March 25, like we're still making really great progress, even if we're seeing some more recent challenges. So my headspace from a wealth perspective is actually, it feels very resilient. Like probably since I got massively beaten up, like 10% loss in my portfolio due to being exposed to Russian miners when Ukraine was invaded. I sort of did struggle with that, to be honest. But since then, like my mental has been pretty rock solid. I sort of just don't worry too much about falls. I even get excited about it. And, it was actually very timely to be seeing these kind of falls in a new tax year. And, a few people in Discord were sort of more averaging in, wondering if they should do that, even if they were in a position to do so. And, the data suggests that 2/3 of the time it's best to put as much money in as soon as possible and just trust the process. And my takeaway was also like, I'm buying positions that are 30% reduced from when I was holding them previously at levels I'm more than happy to pay for because they're going to be great in the future. So even if it does fall another 5, 10, 30% further, yes, it's not ideal. Obviously, I would rather have timed it perfectly, but I'm also not realistic, not unrealistic enough to think that's going to happen. So actually, I'm super happy with my buys. I've been buying Scottish Mortgage at 8.25. I've been buying Allianz Technology Trust at like 3.30. I'm very happy with these kind of buys. Similarly with the Vanik position as well, buying that ETF at 25 quid. So really happy with some of these buys. And similarly as well, I've been building quite a big position in my Indian ETF as well at like 9.60. I think that's at £9.60. So I will be planning on doing a portfolio video. Maybe I'll do it at the end of the month. I think that makes the most sense because there's been a substantial number of changes in my portfolio. I've really just continued to exit positions I've lost confidence in, like Disney would be one of those examples, to just keep on buying my commitments, or the stocks that I believe in, or the ETFs I believe in. So that's the general direction of travel there. So even though over the last couple of months, like I said, I've seen falls of tens of thousands of pounds in my wealth, actually, because we're hitting off financial contributions, because I've been through this now for 4 years and seen a couple of falls, I'm just, again, very comfortable with the process, and happy with how we're doing from a wealth perspective, honestly. And to me, we still look like we're moving in exactly the right direction. And also, a lot of my assumptions in terms of wealth, etc., are much more prudent than where my wife and I currently are in terms of income and things like that. So again, I just have a lot of confidence here that regardless of what happens in the short term, that we will be hitting our targets in the long term, which remains my retirement when I'm 55, which is 18 years away, with £5 million between my wife and me. So net wealth being 5 million. So that's the goal. It remains unchanged, and I'm quietly confident that we will hit that goal as well. So that's an update for now. I'm not going to make promises that I may or may not be able to keep, but I will probably be doing a portfolio video in very early May. I forgot to mention actually, but my birthday is also in very early May, so maybe the next time you see me will be 17 years away to retirement, because I'll be turning 38. So something to look forward to there. Anyway, this is my update. So thank you for those people who have expressed an interest or a concern. Everything is going actually well, moving in a positive direction, and I'm feeling good. I just simply haven't been prioritizing, and I guess trying to think long term, rather than just going through the motions and doing videos and etc., but trying to actually improve my life, which I guess is the ultimate purpose of the channel. So that continues to be the plan, and we'll see what happens next. So thank you very much everyone for watching as well, if you made it this far. I continue to be the Boss Hog. Good luck with your wealth, investments, and your health and your betterment as well, and I hope everyone is well. Bye for now.